covered in today's China Truths.
A new year arrives, fireworks fade, banners flutter, and beneath the celebrations, buildings quietly begin to fall apart. Not from earthquakes, not from war, but from a human hand. A light push, a tap of the finger. A nation that calls these major projects watches them crumble like damp bread. This is not a rumor. This is not satire. This is not social media exaggeration. This is modern China's Tofu dreg construction crisis, a system where concrete turns to powder, expressways dissolve after rain, and homes fail before families can even unpack their furniture. Welcome to the reality behind the polished skyline. At first glance, everything looks solid. New towers, fresh paint, perfect symmetry. Promotional banners promise safety, quality, and national pride. But peel back the surface, literally, and the illusion collapses. Windows aren't anchored into concrete. They're glued onto insulation foam. Stairwells don't channel water out. They channel it down the walls like indoor waterfalls. Drainage walls along expressways can be crushed by hand, their mortar disintegrating into sand. And yet, the most shocking part isn't the collapse itself. It's that these structures passed inspection. They were certified, approved, declared fully compliant with construction standards. This is the paradox at the heart of China's infrastructure miracle: buildings that visibly fail, yet officially succeed. For years, ordinary people inside China have used a dark, bitter phrase: tofu dreg construction. Buildings that look firm on the outside but are hollow, fragile, and rotten within. What started as slang has become an everyday warning, from apartment towers to schools, from resettlement housing to highways branded as national achievements. The same pattern repeats: speed over safety, appearances over substance, paperwork over physics. This isn't about one bad contractor or one unlucky project. It's systemic. During the last decade, especially between 2018 and 2022, China entered a frenzy of debt-driven construction. Cities raced against each other to build faster, higher, and bigger. Completion dates mattered more than durability. Political targets mattered more than engineering limits. Every finished project meant better statistics, stronger reports, and potential promotions. So corners were cut, not secretly, but routinely. Concrete was diluted, rebar was reduced, waterproofing was skipped, supervision became ceremonial, inspection reports became formalities. Everyone signed. No one truly checked. On paper, China's construction oversight system looks airtight. Developers build, contractors execute, supervision companies inspect, housing bureaus review, regulators approve, multiple layers, multiple stamps, multiple signatures. In reality, responsibility is chopped into pieces so small that when something fails, no one owns the failure. Each party signs off only on their slice. When cracks appear, blame evaporates into procedural language. The structure may collapse, but accountability never lands. That's why residents only discover the truth years later, during renovations, during heavy rain, during a cold winter. A wall opens, and instead of concrete, there's foam. Pipes burst, not inside service shafts, but inside load-bearing walls. Mold blooms across ceilings, creeping into bedrooms, spreading spores where children sleep. And when residents complain, they're told the same thing again and again: it meets the standards. Consider one recent case. A homeowner notices his window frame wobbling. He pushes lightly. The entire window detaches from the wall. Not broken, not cracked, detached, because it was never anchored to brick or concrete, only glued to insulation foam. Local housing officials arrive. They inspect. Their conclusion is stunning in its simplicity. The installation complies with requirements. When asked what happens if the window falls out, the answer is even more revealing. If it falls, just install it again. Not fix the structure, not redesign the support, just glue it back. Only after the video spreads online, After millions watch a compliant window fall out under finger pressure, does the developer suddenly agree to proper repairs? Another case. A government resettlement complex, less than 2 years old. A fire hydrant pipe bursts. Dirty water surges through interior walls. Stairwells become waterfalls. Emergency exits flood. Residents film rust-colored streams pouring down floors meant to be safe evacuation routes. Multiple departments are listed as supervisors. None accept responsibility. Weeks pass. Pipes remain unfixed. Water continues seeping through structural walls instead of sealed conduits. The building remains officially qualified. Move outside the city. Along a newly completed national expressway, villagers discover something disturbing. A drainage retaining wall, part of critical infrastructure, can be pinched apart by hand. Mortar crumbles. Chunks fall away. After ordinary rainfall, sections collapse entirely. The response? The construction unit insists the wall meets design standards. Repairs are postponed. Cold weather becomes the excuse. The structure stays broken, frozen in place, both physically and bureaucratically. Older developments tell an even darker story. Buildings completed during the construction boom are now aging in fast forward. Rebar protrudes, concrete flakes away. Black mold spreads through occupied apartments. Doctors warn residents about respiratory damage, immune stress, neurological risks. Families complain for months. Developers respond with cosmetic fixes, paint over mold, patch visible cracks. Compensation disputes drag on until residents are exhausted. This is the cycle, over and over again. Build cheap, approve fast, deny responsibility, act only after exposure, and exposure is the key, because without viral videos, nothing moves. The root of the problem isn't ignorance, it's incentives. Local officials are rewarded for speed and scale, not longevity. A project that lasts 30 years brings no political benefit if it isn't finished before the reporting deadline. A building that collapses after 5 years becomes someone else's problem. Debt-fueled growth encouraged short-term thinking on a national scale. The second route is structural fragmentation. Too many hands, too many stamps, too little liability. Everyone participates, no one pays the price. The third route is enforcement theater. Laws exist. Codes exist, standards exist, but punishment is rare, delayed, or symbolic. Developers calculate costs. It's cheaper to fix problems after public outrage than to build correctly from the start. Short warranty periods, weak penalties, and non-independent inspections make that calculation easy, and so the burden shifts to residents. They live inside these structures. They breathe the mold. They dodge falling debris. They pay medical bills. They shoulder stress. Meanwhile, the system records another successful completion. What collapses alongside concrete is trust. Each certified failure teaches people the same lesson. Inspections don't protect you. Complaints don't matter until they go viral. Safety exists on paper, not in practice. Institutions don't respond to danger. They respond to embarrassment. This is why the question is no longer whether tofu dreg construction still exists. It's whether the system that produced it can stop itself. Many of the buildings failing today are barely 5 years old. If defects emerge this early, what happens in 10, 20? Infrastructure doesn't decay linearly when it's built on compromised foundations. It fails suddenly, catastrophically. Collapse isn't a surprise, it's a delayed outcome. As long as compliance is defined by signatures instead of strength, collapse isn't an accident waiting to happen. It's a feature built into the process. Until inspections are independent, liability is real, and consequences outweigh the cost of cheating, the cycle will continue, quietly, efficiently, and officially approved. These aren't hidden flaws discovered by experts with instruments. They crumble by hand, and when something that collapses by hand is certified as safe, the problem is no longer construction quality. It's institutional responsibility, and the cost of pretending otherwise keeps rising. It is impossible to talk about tofu dreg construction without recalling the 2008 earthquake in Sichuan. When the ground shook, thousands of school buildings collapsed within seconds, while nearby structures remained standing. Tens of thousands of children were buried alive under crushed concrete. Parents later discovered steel bars thinner than standards, concrete mixed with sand, and hollow walls that shattered on impact. These schools were later called tofu schools because they disintegrated like soft bean curd. The most devastating truth was not the earthquake itself, but the realization that many children died because corners had been cut long before the ground ever moved. Another infamous case was the 2011 high-speed rail crash in Wenzhou, a direct blow to the myth of China speed. Two bullet trains collided, killing dozens and injuring hundreds. Investigations exposed faulty signaling systems, substandard equipment, and safety systems rushed into service to meet political deadlines. Shockingly, damaged train cars were buried only hours after the crash, raising public suspicion of evidence destruction. The disaster revealed a brutal reality. Speed and image had been prioritized over human life. What was sold as technological pride turned into a symbol of systemic recklessness. Tofu dreg construction has also haunted resettlement housing and low-cost residential projects across China. Many of these developments were built in the name of social stability, yet quickly became structural time bombs. Ceilings collapsed, elevators failed, walls cracked open just years after completion. In some cases, entire communities were forced to evacuate due to the risk of mass collapse. The damage was not limited to property. It shattered trust. For countless families, the dream of secure housing became a constant fear of sleeping under a roof that could fail at any moment.
Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. We will keep reporting on the COVID surge in China, so don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell to get the latest videos. And thank you for tuning in.